So, hello everybody, I'm Thomas Kavan and I'm chair of this session, which is 16B plugins. And the first session will be held by Andrea Antonello, and it's Geopaparazzi state of the art of the digital field mapping applications. So please, Andrea, if you can.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much to you all for coming. And yes, this is a usual slide that summarizes kind of who I am and who do I work for, the university I'm connected to, and the projects I work on. But today, I think the most important thing that I want to say is, oh yes, I'm kind of a developer, but I sometimes do surveys. And I've done this for many, many years now. Even if I look very young, I have a certain age. And I've, I've passed through many different devices. When I started with programming on digital field mapping, we were using the Panasonic Explorer. I don't know if any of you is doing digital field survey, and I assure you, after a while, it really gets on your back. And we started on this. We had an application that was called BGIS. It was an extension of the UDIC GIS, and it was working fairly nice, but it was a big piece of software. And it got a bit better when the ultralight devices came into the game, and it was easier to carry it around. It would weigh a bit less on your back. And then also Trimble made some devices that were smaller, and some at some point even supported Android. At that time, we tried also the Trimble Juno. It was easier to get in locations that would not be that easy, but it still wasn't what we were looking for, because we are an engineering company and we didn't have to do precise surveys. We were just looking for something to get data of the environment very quickly in any situation. And when Android came along, this opened up exactly for what we were looking for. So it was easy at that point to have a device always in your bag, and it made it possible to survey in practically any condition. And I really mean any condition. And so from that point on, we started Geopaparazzi. And Geopaparazzi is nothing else than a very simple field application for Android devices, and with which you could just take the data around you. It has the precision, obviously, of the GPS of the device, so it's not a high precision thing, but it's really a collect data in the fields. And with Geopaparazzi, you can collect nodes, GPS logs, images, and you can have also complex forms. And it should be very important from the start. Don't overload it with functionalities. Have a clean dashboard, something to be very quick, easy, and intuitive. So for those that don't know Geopaparazzi, I will have a couple of slides to just introduce it to you. The base functionalities, they start all on the dashboard. You have the possibility to take notes. As I said, notes can be a single text note, which is georeferenced, or it could be complex forms. You can really create forms with which you can send teams of surveyors out in the field. They can have conditions, and it's meant to be done that way that surveyors aren't able to make at least the typing errors. You can collect GPS logs, and you can collect pictures. You can even put on your map little sketches. You have to draw something, you can draw it and save it as an image inside a node. All of the data, this should be said, are saved inside one single file, even the images. It's an SQLite database. It's then supported by any GIS nowadays, and everything is put in there. So if you have to share your work with someone else, you just could give him that file. The background maps, it's obviously quite important to have the possibility to have any background. So clearly, OpenStreetMap data work, but many times you have to do technical surveys, and so you need technical maps. And this can be done, and maps can be, as you can see, overlaid with different shape files. I will show you how you can produce them. And like in this case, we were doing forestry measurements, and we were doing extraction from LiDAR data. So we produced the maps with the plots and the LiDAR data and went in the field to have kind of comparison and do the measurements for the calibration of our models. To overlay, the only data type that can be overlaid on the base maps, which represent the background, are spatial light databases. So you can load into GeoPaparazzi spatial light layers of points, lines, and polygons, and visualize them over your background map. You can even edit. There is a simple editing feature for points and lines and polygons, and you can also edit, modify the attribute table. There is some support for simple styling when it comes to spatial light. Actually, there is also support for thematic styling, but thematic styling is in read-only mode, which means you have to prepare the styling from an SLD outside the application, and you produce your database. And in this, you can have some unique values, thematic styling, that is visualized inside GeoPaparazzi, but it doesn't support editing on the device, the style itself. Import and export, we have some directly from the device. You can import files like GPX or WMS definitions to support your survey, and exporting is a bit more getting your data. You either want to get your data inside a GIS to continue processing, or you want just to visualize your data. Directly from the device, you can export in KMZ, which is the most complete format because it allows you, even for complex forms, it generates the point and the HTML version with the whole images inside. You can export the logs to GPX, and recently we got funding to export the project as a PDF. And this is actually way more handy than I thought at the beginning, because everything you surveyed, the complex forms, it will produce a nicely laid out, very simple PDF that contains all your survey if you need to have a look at it. Tools that can interact with GeoPaparazzi, which means usually producing data to go out in the survey or analyzing the data after a survey. We are supporting a set of tools inside the GVSig GIS. There are tools also in QGIS and even in GRASS. And for example, in GVSig, it's possible to create a background map as MB tiles. You visualize your data, and you can generate those data, with those data, an MB tile database that you can then use inside GeoPaparazzi as a background map. After the survey, you can load the content of your database as a GVSig layer. It will export everything that is inside the database as shapefiles with the connected images. And in the attribute table, it will try to flatten down in the attribute table what is contained in the forms. And there is a tool which is quite handy to just browse to projects. If you're someone as me like me that has like a folder with many hundreds of GeoPaparazzi projects as an archive, it is nice to open this tool and just click on the different projects and visualize them. I will show you later how this can be done. So generation of big background maps. Very quickly, there is a nice small tool which just says, okay, what you're seeing here, tell me from which zoom level to which zoom level you want to produce the tiles, give me a path and just push play, and it will generate these MB tiles. You have to be very careful with this, because if you choose a big region, MB tiles is a bad format for larger regions. It can get into terabytes if you go over level 18, 19, and usually you would like to see into 20, 21, depending on what you're doing. And very important, the vector styles are taken from SLD files, which is a bit a problem because in GVSig, SLD is not very well supported. After your survey, in GVSig, you can do right-click, add layer, and in the add layer menu, you have an entry GeoPaparazzi, which means you can just open up the file, the project file. It will show you a nice view with the metadata, and it will also show you which layer it is going to create. Because for complex forms, you have nice buttons that define, oh, I'm going to survey a fountain, I'm going to survey a bar, I'm going to survey a park, and it will generate for every typology a layer. It has the shapefile. And as I said, it will try to flatten down your form data inside the shapefile. It's probably not the most nice way, as we will see later, but this is the most GIS compliant way, I would say. This is the project browser. As I said, you can just supply a folder and it will load on one side all the GeoPaparazzi projects, and you can just peek into one and it will show you all the logs you have, all the notes you have, and if you click on a log, it will show you the log on the map, and it will show you also a profile view of this log. This is not to do analysis, but it's to do very quick check, oh, where did I had this data set, or where you can just click around and have a look at it. I want to throw in here a couple of slides, really bear with me, 2-3 slides for developers, because last year we worked a lot in giving the possibility to external developers to do their own branding of GeoPaparazzi, and we also try to make it more pluggable, which means usually if someone is interested in make a customization of GeoPaparazzi, they usually want to import or export in their own way, which means download data from their server, do the survey, and then in some way upload the data back again. So we started with that, and it's quite nice. There is some documentation on the web page, and I just want to give you an example with these lines of code. It's really very, very few. It's 3 files, and really just these lines. I didn't leave out anything. You change these lines of code, and from GeoPaparazzi, you get to GVSig Mobile. Yes, actually, it is that. At the moment, and maybe someone is asking, what's with GeoPaparazzi and GVSig Mobile? Okay, GeoPaparazzi has been around very, very long now. And in the last couple of years, it's experiencing a real good response from the community, and I'm extremely happy about that. And we are starting to get contributions and a lot of interest. There are plugins in GVSig because we wrote them, but also in QGIS and GRASS, so other people are interested in processing the data from GeoPaparazzi. It has a lot of installations, and it will always stay the generic field mapping application. GVSig Mobile has been first released in 2017, and right now it is exactly what you've seen before. It's a different branded version, something that the GVSig Association needed to complete their stock, because it wasn't nice to have GVSig Desktop, GVSig Online, GeoPaparazzi. It sounded a bit strange, so they needed to give it a more compliant name. So it was GVSig Mobile. The important thing is input and output is going to change, and it has plugins to connect to GVSig Online. So it also shares the same code base, so whatever comes and creates development for one of these 2 projects, it contributes to the same project, which is quite good. So the highlight of my talk now is what many people are asking for years now, and it is, how do I synchronize my data? Because GeoPaparazzi is for the lonely survey in the field, but there are also a lot of situations where you would have teams that would like to work together and then need somehow to aggregate the data. Right now, there are two possibilities. One is called GeoPaparazzi profiles. And this is the more complex or the more advanced version. It allows you to help the scenario where you have the problem of data management for casual and non-GIS users. I didn't get the images, but I've had users sending me, for example, Aborigines in Australia in Teams mapping with GeoPaparazzi. And it was really cool to see, because this for me means really it is easy to use. It has to be, if anyone, there were people that couldn't even read the labels. They had no knowledge about. But the problem is then they need to synchronize the stuff back. And such people are not able to produce a base map, put it on the phone, insert the right tags to have the right forms and buttons, download the proper spatial light database. This means nothing to them. And profiles are going to solve this, or already solve this problem. What is a profile? A profile is a simple text JSON definition that defines for you what you will use for your survey. When you download a profile and activate it, the GeoPaparazzi will go in a kind of blocked mode in which you can just use the data that are defined in the profile. And if you don't have the data on the phone, it will download them for you. So, for example, there is now a cloud profile entry in the imports, and if you have a server, you can just place all your data there, nicely described in your JSON file, and you can just connect GeoPaparazzi to it. It will parse the JSON, look for the data that are already there or not, and download background data, spatial light data, the GeoPaparazzi project, if you have a particular project to start with. And it will also show you if some of a profile is already downloaded. The extremely nice thing of this is you don't need a server. You need something online, but it doesn't have to be something complex. You could make this work even with a web space somewhere. You put the JSON there, and in the JSON you describe the data that lie in the same directory. GeoPaparazzi connects to it and uses it as a cloud profile server. Or if you want to do something more complex because you need the users to download data on their username basis, you could use this. This has been developed by the guys of Genalytic, which is a company from Canada, and they have been really great. They created this cookie cutter GeoPaparazzi reference server, which has a ton of features already out of the box. You can create cloud profiles, and you have some security possibilities, and some management of emails, social media sign up. There's a lot of stuff already there. And you get this. They documented how to install it, and they also ask for help. If you want to do contributions, they are very, very happy with it. In future, right now you can just download the data. In future, they want to add the uploading of the produced data. The second possibility to synchronize in the cloud is the GeoPaparazzi service server. This one is more for just the project data, not spatial light. It's just point and logs and images and complex forms. You can launch this server. There are installation instructions on the project side, but what we wanted to do with this server, we wanted something extremely simple, and there is a Docker image online, so you can just install on a Linux machine Docker, you run this command, and after that you run this command, and you go to localhost. You just have to supply a folder inside which the server will create its structure, and if you start, you will get this login page that you saw before. You have a nice map with the survey table right near it, and You can create web users and groups, and you can also edit the surveyors, because you don't create the surveyors. Each phone, each device that connects with its unique ID. So if the device is not on the server yet, it generates a surveyor with that ID. So after that, you would need to give it a human readable name. Last few slides, very, very quickly. For this, you need a partner application. And this is the GSSS Survey Server Sync application. It's an Android app. We decided to not put this inside GeoPaparazzi core because recently so many different parties wanted to do synchronization, and it would have made the application very dirty. So from now on, whoever wants to synchronize, since you can access the database, needs to do it with its own application. And as author of GeoPaparazzi, I needed to give the good first example. And this is very quickly the application. You can check your ID just to make sure that you then see it on the server and change the names properly. You set your URL. You browse for a GeoPaparazzi file on your phone. It will list you the logs, the dirty data that will be uploaded next. And last slide, you can synchronize your data with a simple click. It will give you even the possibility to say, okay, upload just the nodes or upload just the GPS logs. Maybe upload the media later because they are large and I need Wi-Fi, but I want already to send up, synchronize everything else. Or you just push everything, it will upload your data, you continue the survey, and so on and so on. And I think that's all. I leave you with some links where you can find information, documentation, and the mailing list where you can ask us whatever comes to your mind. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, as well, and for your fantastic presentation. And let's open the floor for the questions.
I only would like to know if it's only available on Android and if it is going to be supported by other operating system like Ubuntu or something else.
That's a fantastic question. Because recently, I've been talking to people, and when we started GeoPaparazzi, the first thing people asked me was, can I put it on my iPhone? No, it's just for Android. Oh, no, then over the years, iPhone, for this kind of thing, lost traction. It's really years that nobody is asking me, but I still have it in my mind. So the synchronization application, I didn't do it with the normal Android tools, but I chose to do it with a cross-platform tool, so that it would work also on iPhone or iPad, but I'm also interested to have it on desktop. So my answer is, at the moment, the synchronization tool would be available also for iPhone and desktop. It's useless because GeoPaparazzi is not for iPhone and desktop, but it was a first test, and we are quite interested. We are thinking to launch, when we find a little bit of resources and time, to launch a GeoPaparazzi Lite version that works on iPhone and on tablets, desktop, let's say Linux or Windows. So it's not there, but enough effort has been started to investigate, and maybe there will be a light version that will do only the survey part, not special light or big stuff. But that's kind of a possible roadmap, let's say.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. And we have a time for one another question.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for the nice presentations, Andrea.
Thank you.
Two questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, fast. First,
Two half questions.
two half questions. The first one is it possible to edit online with direct access to the data, WFS or something?
No, that's not supported.
The other,
Even if I have to say there is a company, Scolab, that is the company that is doing GVC online, and at the code sprint in Bonn, we discussed this with WFS, and they are, for us, it's not a big interest. We are a small company, and we do this kind of stuff, but they are very interested in going direction WFS. So it might come.
I'm asking that because in urban scenarios, we can go online and can be useful.
Yeah.
The other question is the normal question: if you want to use GPS high precision, can it be connected to those devices? How? Or even better, to GPS reference stations with RFK standard. I don't know if.
Yeah, no. With cinematic. Let's put it that way. Right now, you can, if you have an output of the GPS, which is NEMEA, there are a lot of applications of Android, which is not GeoPaparazzi itself, but applications Android, which we tested, that allow you to connect via Bluetooth to such a GPS, and they substitute the internal GPS of the device. So at that point, if I open up GeoPaparazzi, I won't notice, but I'm using the external GPS. I would have preferred a lot to have direct connection, but we tried to find funding for this and never, we always failed. So we, just that you know, if you need it directly in GeoPaparazzi, we would be very happy to do this, or if somebody else does it, to bring it in with pull requests or contributions.
Okay, so thank you very much, Andrea, again. And now please let me invite here the author of the second talk, Silvia Franceschi. Excuse me? We already don't have any time for questions, but
We can ask questions in the break.
yeah, okay. So Silvia have a talk about modeling natural hazards in the GV-SIG with the Horton machine plugins. So Silvia, please.